So with qualifiers and tie downs, what are they really? Well, let's look at sales track. Now, sales track, there's 6 lessons, and the 6 lessons of sales track identify an opening, an introduction to a client. It's broken down into detailed parts, so you can use any one of these parts interchangeably in your introduction of the product. You can use this so it comes up organically. You can use the litmus test in different places. You can use your personal story at the very beginning or near the middle or at the end. Your 15-second commercial, you may or may not even be in a position to use it. Setting the appointment in stone is something that you're always going to want to do, and a starting point, with whom do I start, your name list and all that is where we want to go. What we're going to talk about tonight is the use of qualifiers and tie downs. Why are qualifiers and tie downs so important? Well, first we want to say that sales track is designed to follow the GPS selling system. And if you notice, a lot of what is in these first 6 lessons is incorporated in the GPS selling system. Qualifiers and tie downs are an essential part of your close. They're an essential part of your introduction and moving the client forward. If I could say anything about qualifiers and tie downs, they are the pieces of information that you get from the client to help move the client forward and help move them into the close, to keep them tied down, to keep them committed to what they spoke about earlier on in the process. So that's what we're going to be looking at tonight, is use of qualifiers and tie downs. The other thing I want to say about sales track is it should be organic. You should have all of these parts, a couple of different 15-second commercials, a couple of different personal and borrowed stories. You should have quite a few different qualifiers and tie downs. I'll go through a few with you tonight. Litmus testing is the same as testing on a scale of 1 to 10. It's just taking the client's temperature. I use the term litmus test. Are they hot? Are they cold? Are they running yellow on the litmus scale, or are they bright purple? So a litmus test is just a way of gauging the client. Okay. So soft closing and tie downs are important because it's designed to lead the prospect in a certain direction. In all cases, the soft close objective is to get the prospect to softly commit now and to tie them down later in the sales process for the closing. I mean, the reality is that sales is an exchange between the salesperson and the other individual. The tie down and qualifying question should be used throughout your process. The sales process, as we're going to find out, and I think I say this a little bit later, is an exchange of commitments, small commitments between the salesperson and the individual who is trying to purchase the prospect. It's a small exchange of little commitments between those two that move the process forward and establish some degree of trust. Now, depending on the sale, even that degree of trust has to be really great, or that degree of trust can be, so-so. I'm going in to buy a TV. I'm going to buy it from RC Willey or Best Buy. It doesn't really matter if I buy it from Bill or Don. That's really not going to matter. But if I'm buying a financial product, it's going to matter the person that's bringing me the information and how this is coming across. In all financial arenas that I have ever been in, there is a process to the sales, whether that be in insurance. There's a complete process of gathering the information and doing a needs analysis. In mortgage, it's gathering all of the critical information that we need about income and debts, and even as far as a credit score on the individual, a social security number and everything. And if anywhere along there, when you go to buy a car, if you're not paying cash and you go through financing, you have to do the same thing. You have to give them all of your information. Well, the thing about soft closing with a client is it's a way to lead them to give you more and more information throughout the process. And what I want you to understand is the reason I bring up insurance and mortgages, car sales, all of these different sales processes, they all have a process that they stick to. And what we call that in the introduction is sales track, and what we call it as we're going through the process with the client is the GPS selling system. So initial qualifying questions. Now what I'm talking about here is now we're on qualifying questions, so we've already had our, with whom do I start? We've made our calls and introductions, and you have something really cool you want to show people. You've maybe given your 15-second commercial already to these people. You've maybe given your personal or borrowed story to these people already. So this is not like you just meet somebody. I want to be very clear. This is not you just met somebody at a B&I meeting, or you just met somebody at a party and you look at them and you go, hey, I want to know, do you have a mortgage? No. You've already kind of set up, and there's an interest level from the client. You've already set up, hey, I've come across this great company. I'm showing people how to take control of their financial futures and setting up to retire with dignity. And I'm doing this, making great money and doing it part-time. That was my 15-second commercial. I'm in the debt buster business. I've been helping people take back all of that interest money that the banks have been charging and pay less money in interest and come out with a much better end result on paying off their debt and saving interest and beating the bank at their own game. Okay, so we've already gone through this kind of thing. So now initial qualifying questions that you're looking for from this client to see if they're even a person that you would want to move forward with setting an appointment. Remember, we're still in the introduction. Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a home? Is it free and clear? Is it paid for? Do you have debt? Do you have multiple debts? Would you like to be in a better position financially? I think the list of qualifying questions can go on and on and on and on. Are you working full-time currently? What are you doing for a living? You're in this introductory stage where you have told them something about what you do, not enough to really blow the bank, and you're trying to get information from them to see if it fits in your box or to also allow them to be able to talk about what they do, because sometimes what people do in itself can be an open door to opening up our product. They do insurance, they do financial planning, they do tax, they're CPA, they do accounting. I'm just giving you some initial qualifying questions. They're just a prospect, but I want you to understand sales track, and I want you to write this down. Sales track should be called sales and recruiting track. And the reason I say that is the exact same principles that you employ in sales track, you can employ these exact same principles in it as a recruiting track. And all you'd have to do with qualifying questions is, have you ever worked in let's say you built it up and you ever worked for a great company and I make great money part-time and it's a wonderful opportunity. And let me just tell you what happened to me. I started working for this company. I was working full-time for another company. After 6 months, I left full-time at that company, started going full-time with this company, and I'm on my way to making a substantial income that I'm very proud of. I'm replacing the money that I was making plus, and I really enjoy the work. So if that's like you start off in your intro was a recruiting type of intro, then your qualifying questions and your tie downs all of a sudden become recruiting. Have you ever worked in the direct sales market? Do you have a book of business? What do you currently do for business? Are you looking for part-time or full-time work? Have you ever worked a business without a boss? Have you been looking during COVID-19 to possibly, what's the word I'm looking for? Possibly add to your current income. That's not the word I was looking for, but add to your current income. Are you looking for different ways to bring in additional monies financially for yourself? Have you been affected in a way on your current job? These are all qualifying questions. And you notice with qualifying questions, most of the ones that I have here are yes and no, but the best qualifying questions are, so tell me about your living situation. And then they could go into, well, I'm renting or I have a mortgage, well, my living situation is I have a cat and a dog. No, I'm not talking about that. What is do you own a home? Do you rent? What are you doing? Tell me about that. When it comes down to, is it paid for? Have you been paying on the home for a while? Have you ever refinanced? Have you ever thought about trying to pay that home off? And see, while you're asking these questions to the client, what you must be doing is making mental notes, because not all the time will the client respond in a way with just words. They'll respond with demeanor. They'll respond with action. They'll respond with how things are coming across. And they may tell you a little bit about what's going on, but the more you can get them to open up, the more you can get them to tell you about their situation, the more you can go deeper. So you can go into things like, okay, you said you want to change your current financial position, or if you could change something, what is your current financial position? If you could improve your current financial situation, would you? Is getting out of debt important to you? Is preparing for retirement important to you? If you could change one thing financially for yourself, what would that be? Have you ever tried any other methods for eliminating or managing your debt? So initially, I just want you to get a broad scope here, that these aren't just questions about the Money Max account or just about retirement, What you're trying to do is you're trying to get questions to get them to give you more information that puts them, and I hate to say this, but kind of in a box. Yeah, they need the Money Max account program. Everything we're talking about and they're saying is about debt and not paying interest to the bank. No, they need to come on board with us. They've been doing insurance, they've been doing this, and their business is slow. They're looking for an injection, another way to open the door, another way to sell policy, another way to enhance their income. That was the word I was looking for originally. So qualifying questions can be recruiting, they can be sales, and they can be both. If you could change your financial situation, what would that look like for you? What would you want to do to change that? Does getting out of debt, does paying off some of your debt play a role in that? So you can take them in both ways. So is there something you would like to accomplish financially over the next year or so? Would you be better off today with the debt you have now or no debt at all? If you were debt-free today, how would that change your life? Now listen, after every question you answer, I know that was a complete rifle of questions that went out. And if you have such a complete rifle of questions that are going out, no client is ever going to have the time to be able to fully respond. You have to ask a question, and all different clients are different types, ranging from the individual that can give you an answer the minute you ask them a question, a high A-driven personality, the tiger or red in Prism, those individuals, in DISC, those individuals can give you an answer right off the bat, but a green in DISC and a gregarious, or let's say a pacifist, going on that side of the scale, soft-spoken, introvert. When you ask them a question, you have to be seriously concerned about getting an answer and waiting for that answer. We talk all the time about how you can talk yourself out of a sale, how you can put yourself in a position where you can actually talk yourself right out of the sale. You can say too much. Remember, in this particular product, that's why we have videos, that's why we have analysis. You can say too much and lose the sale. Keep it very simple, keep it very basic. And I tell you this right now, the more basic you keep the program, I want you to write this down. The more basic you keep the program itself with your client, the better it's going to be for your client, the better it's going to be for coaching, the better it is for retention. When you tell the client all of the complex features that the program has, or start going into those like, yeah, it does this and does that, and just initially tell the client, look, what we're really trying to accomplish is getting you on a system that's going to help you eliminate your debt and free up the money. All of our clients, we like to start them off very simply. Do you in the field know that about 80% of our activations are done with a checking and savings account? I may say it might be as high as 82 to 83% of all of our sales is being done using a checking and savings account, and about 95% of our sales are being done online. So don't get them involved in this deep complexity. Get them on the program. Get them understanding that it obviously makes a lot more sense, if it's even this simple, to have a computer that is running calculations for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's obvious that it can do a better job of getting you out of debt than you can running those calculations. I don't care if you're a spreadsheet wizard. So the reality is that you want to make sure that when you're dealing with these clients and you're doing these identifying questions and you're taking them through this process, that you're making it simple for them. You're making it simple for them to understand the information. You're making it simple for them to understand the process. And the process is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And again, this whole section from now next couple of weeks is all about your introduction and getting that first appointment. And so many people fail right there. That's why we spend time on it at the beginning of every new year, especially with new agents coming on board as well. Once you have staged your case and once you have said what you need to say, let them dream. Just be quiet and let them dream a little bit. Let them start talking and start collecting the information that you need to set up for the close. You'll always wait for a response. Every time you ask a question, wait for a response from the prospect. I don't care how long that takes. And if they ask you a question before responding, lead them back to the original question and get a response. Was that, I have another question for you. Well, what about the fee? Lead them back to that original question and make sure you get a response from them. So if you say, is there any other reason you wouldn't want to do business? And they go, well, how much was that fee? Say, well, is there any, you can answer the question if you want. You could say, well, it's $3,500, but is there any other reason that you wouldn't want to do business with me other than, let's say, the price? So if they ask you a question before responding, lead them back to your original question and get a response. This can be very frustrating. It takes practice not to oversell or overtalk. You can talk yourself right out of that sale. Do practice with individuals about leading somebody back to the original, and that can actually be fun. I know doing your presentation on a slideshow or doing the presentation and having people critique you, or doing your 15-second commercial and having people critique you, that can get a little painstaking and get a little tedious. But in this particular area, this can actually become fun. Ask somebody a question, and when they respond to you with a question, take them back to your original question and get them to respond to it. And you'll find that it works very well. That I think people's minds are just moving so fast. Maybe they didn't want to answer the question. Maybe their question was more important than your question. If you get a negative response out of your client and they don't, they're not positive, these previous statements, then you're probably talking to the wrong person. You have to consider in every encounter with an individual that not everybody is a sale. Everybody has the potential to be a sale or an agent, but not everybody is a sale or an agent. And if you're just starting off a conversation, it's better to make a good impression and have a good conversation than to come across pushy, and the only thing that you were concerned about was getting your message across and your business and what you do. You have to understand, in building a business and meeting people, the people that are the most successful are the people that want to know more about the people that they're recruiting than they want those people to know about them. They are truly vested in the people they're recruiting. They want to hear their story. They want to know what they came from. Tom Keener, I have to say, is a master at this, at remembering what people have been through or their life stories. Now, not so much on time and place, but life stories and being able to relate. I met this lady and I remember her story. Very powerful, and that is a big key to being the leader, and that's a very big key in building your business through recruiting, but it's also a big key in building your business through sales. That degree of trust, that idea that you're not just so pushy that you just have to get your message across and you're not interested in them. Showing a deep vulnerability for people and a deep desire to help them is not a negative. It's an absolute positive with our product. If your prospects respond positively to one of the questions above, then proceed to some tie-down possibilities. So if it's going well, they're like, yeah, they're leaning in, or they want more information, or tell me more. Yeah, this sounds interesting, or I think I've heard something about that. Can you fill me in a little more? Or, obviously the negative, just let it go. But the positive, become a little excited. Like, that's cool. You want to know more about it. I really respect that you want to know more about something that's, a lot of people don't know a whole lot about, that you want to broaden your horizons and that your mind is open to this type of information. And then you can go from there. If I could, would you, is probably the most effective moving forward tie-down formula that I have ever come across. The most successful. Feel, felt, found is great for success, for conflict resolution is great for, a close. If somebody's on the fence, the feel, felt, found, I feel what you're saying, I felt the same way, but through further research I found. Well, when it comes to tie down and commitment, the best I've ever seen is if I could, would you? And if I could, would you is the most common tie down formula, and it's, if I could show you how to achieve your financial goals, would you be willing to set an appointment with me to find out more? It's a very simple formula. If I could show you how to get debt-free in a fraction of the time, would you be willing to find out more? If I could show you how to decrease the amount of interest you are paying across the board currently, would you be willing to set up an appointment with me to find out exactly how we can help? Now look, just look at those and reword them any way you want, but do it in, if I could, would you? If I could show you how to achieve the financial goals you've been talking about, would it be worth, I don't know, half hour of your time to set an appointment with my office or for me to come by and let's take a look at your situation and see what we can do for you? If I could show you how to be debt-free in just a fraction of the time, that's what you've been talking about, is getting debt-free. You want to get out of debt and nothing's been working. Would you take the time with me to go through our program and let me show you how I know our program can assist you? We'd have to set a first appointment. You know, then you can go into your GPS. Once you've set that first appointment, the GPS almost starts automatically, you know, confirming the appointment with them, showing up, rules of engagement, going all those across the board. So if I could show you how to complement or enhance your current income part-time with a business model that's been proven online, would you be willing to sit down and take a look at that business model? If I could show you a business you can do from home, you can do it online, and make very good money part-time doing that, would that interest you enough to want to sit down and take a meeting with me? My business is currently expanding. I'm looking for more people. If I could offer you a position inside the company, if I could offer you an ability to work with me as a team member and help you grow your business, would that be exciting to you? Would that be something you would want to do? See, these are all just examples of possibilities. And the tie down is, if I could, would you? Well, the minute they say, yeah, I'd do that, well, you can use this throughout your whole process. All of you brand new recruiters, all your recruiters that have agents underneath you, use this with them. Look, if I can show you that making 10 appointments a week will get you at least 2 sales a week, will get you at least 8 sales by the end of the month, which even if we're doing split sales, you're climbing up the ladder, you're going to hit executive director inside of a 6-month period. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to work 4 hours a day? How many hours a day can you give it? Interview the people that you're bringing in. If I could show you a way to enhance that income, would you be willing to invest the time? Would you be willing to get on corporate calls? Would you be willing to learn the materials? Would you be when would you be willing to start? Would you be willing to start right away? Or would this be something you would need to think about? I want you to really think about the context of these questions that you're asking the client, because they are the true context of the type of individual that you're going to attract. The reality is that not everybody is built for this type of business. Not everybody that has a pulse needs to be recruited. Not everybody that can breathe on a mirror. Remember, you have to work with these people. You have to try to train these people, and you have to try to bring them on board with you. So always remember, your questions that you're asking the client are much more important than just, I want to find out some information. Ask pointed questions that are going to tell you about their reliability. You know, how many days off work did you have last year? I've actually asked people that. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions of people that don't feel like, well, I just got to recruit the world and hopefully I find the right guy. And I know there's a lot of people with that mentality, but I think by your questioning, I think by having very detailed questioning and listening and guiding the conversation, you can get the quality of people that you're looking for. So if I could, would you, the most common tie-down formula, if you knew having no debt would be life-changing and I could show you, introduce you a way to pay off your mortgage and or other debts in the third to one-half your current scheduled time, would that interest you? Would you want to hear more about it? Would you want to hear more about that? Would there be any reason you would not want to know more? Would there be any reason you would not want to move forward with me? Would you want to spend some time with me to see how we can help, how we can accomplish that, how we can come up with a plan together, and United Financial Freedom can show you a better tomorrow today? Are you ready to set an appointment with me? You want to set an appointment with me for, I have next Tuesday and next Thursday. We'll get into setting the appointment in stone, but there's a rhythm to that as well. This is a recorded presentation. It will be posted by the agent back office by end of business tomorrow, and last week's presentation will be posted just before that tomorrow as well. I render them two at a time and post them two at a time. So in any event, all of this information will be up there for you to be able to peruse. In that tie-down mentality, if I could help you pay your mortgage and or other debts sooner rather than later, would that interest you? Would you want to know more about that? If I could help you achieve your financial goals over the next few years, would that interest you? Would you want to know more? If I could help you achieve financial prosperity, would that be something that would interest you to investigate further? Now, remember, you're not starting off with these, but yeah, I mean, you may if you have a relationship with them, if you've talked to them before. But remember, these are all statements. Try to tie them down after you've done an introduction. They've shown some degree of interest in the Money Max Account program or becoming an agent or what you do for a living. If I could show you a way to become debt-free without changing your current budget, would you want to know more about that? See, these are all tie downs. These are all soft tie downs. They're not super committed. They're not like, would you do business with me? Are you going to buy it tomorrow? But these are tie downs, and the more questions you ask and get these little tie downs and get these little commitments, get them to say yes. You're getting them to say yes. They feel more and more confident saying yes to you, and their trust begins to build. And that is just a real good way to set up your client and get them in a kind of an affable mood moving forward and not throwing up blast shields and defense walls. So in closing, qualifiers and tie downs, as with all the sales processes, an art form, must be practiced as often as possible. I truly believe that sales is an art. I know Steve said on call last week, just go out and start conversations with people. And I know a lot of you are saying, oh, yeah, right. No, it puts you in practice. And more and less people are talking to one another, and we need more and more people talking to one another. This whole thing with masks and COVID, it's just separating us. Go out and practice conversational language with people. It is the key to the sale. Do not be discouraged when you hit a wrong note. Kick the ball in the wrong direction or place paint in the wrong area. It wasn't intended to go. In other words, don't worry if you make a mistake. This is all part of the learning process. It just takes practice. As you develop your skill in the art, you'll overcome and improve. Just hang in there, take notes, learn from your mistakes, and above all, have fun with this. If you're not having fun with this, you shouldn't be doing this. It truly excites me when I see people getting out of debt. It truly excites me when I see somebody beginning that journey to debt freedom. And I know maybe I sound like an advertisement, but I've been doing this. I celebrated my 20-year anniversary on January 22nd of 2021 this year with this company. And I've been with this company because I have seen the results. I have seen the life change as a result of this company. Yesterday I turned 60 years of age. So I started with this company back when I was 40. And I got to tell you, I have watched these young men grow that own the company. I have watched this company go through great times, bad times, financially skinny times, and coming back to outrageously fine times. But the one things I can say is I have never seen, never heard, and never experienced the integrity of John or Skylar Whitman ever being compromised in my 20 years of working with them. And their devotion to this product is a labor of love because of what they experienced in their youth. That is not a sales tactic. That is not a marketing ploy. They created this program and have stood behind it because they don't want people to experience what they had experienced in their youth growing up, and they are committed to this process, to this company, and their intended goal is to put this in the hand of every American homeowner and then eventually go global. I've never been more proud of two individuals in my life, and never been more proud of a company, and never been more proud of a field. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of people to get talking to. We need an army of people out there just spreading the message of debt elimination, not using sneaky sales tactics or mis-explaining it, but using the tools that are there and being totally sold out to the product and looking at this as a mission, as a crusade to buy America back one family at a time. I want to thank everybody for joining us for our lesson for this evening. It is always a pleasure for me to be on this call with you all, and let's get out there and do it big. Let's get out there and do it right, but at the very least, let's get out there and do something right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.